Thank you, Chairman. I want to thank you, Admiral Rogers, for your service to the country. I wanted to just ask you a basic question. You have a substantial responsibility in your position. What keeps you up at night? What is you're most worried about that we need to understand?
Well, let me be a bit of a smartass and say, based on the workload, I have no problem sleeping. But secondly, there's three things generally I highlight. Number one is actions taken against critical infrastructure in the United States, damage or manipulation. Number two, what happens when actors start to no longer just enter systems to do reconnaissance or to steal, but actually to manipulate or change data so that we no longer can believe what we're seeing. And the third and final thing in the cyber arena is what happens when non-state actors start to view cyber as a weapon system, and they want to use it as a vehicle to inflict pain and against the United States and others.
And to the third point you just made about non-state actors using cyber as a weapon system, how grave a threat is that to us currently?
I would argue that it is not, it's one of these, you say it and then tomorrow something will change. But today what I would tell you is I have not seen groups yet make huge investments in this, but I worry that it's a matter of time because it wouldn't take long. One of the challenges of cyber, in addition, we previously talked today about how it doesn't recognize boundaries. It doesn't take billions of dollars of investment. It doesn't take decades of time, and it doesn't take a dedicated workforce of tens of thousands of people like you see most nation states deal with problems. That cyber is the great equalizer in some ways.
And what are the greatest risks, to the extent you can describe them here, to our critical infrastructure, the first issue that you...
Just worry, in that regard, what I worry is, based on the accesses and the activity that I've seen of some nation-state actors out there, what happens if they decide that they want to, for some period of time, disrupt the things we take for granted, the ability to always have power? Pumps.
Power system.
Power
financial
systems
system.
to move money. I mean, if you take a look at the scenario in the Ukraine on the 22nd of December, imagine had a scenario like that unfolded in the United States. I'm not going to argue that someone's capable of making the United States totally go dark, but I would argue there's capability there to cause significant impact and damage.
Mm-hmm. That's why you discussed in your opening testimony the need for the coordination between government, private sector, and across the whole of government.
Right.
I wanted to ask you, the law that was changed by Congress in terms of the NSA, the holding of information, the USA Freedom Act.
USA Freedom Act, yes, ma'am.
Can you give us an update on what is happening with that and whether that's working and any concerns you have? I think it's an important question for us to check back in with you on.
Yes, ma'am. So if I could, in an unclass hearing, I'm not going to go into great detail. What I would say is, and what I've said to the intelligence oversight committees, we have been able to comply with the act and to do it on time. There has been some level of slowness, but that in terms of difference from the old system to the new system, but that...
In terms of how quickly you can get information.
Right, that time duration is minutes or hours. It's not days or weeks. So it hasn't yet gotten to the point where I felt I've needed to come back to the Congress or the administration and say, hey, look, I'm seeing a significant material impact in our ability to generate timely insights, because I made that commitment. I said, if I saw that, then I believe I owe it to the nation to make that point. I have not seen that yet.
But there's no doubt that it's taking longer in some ways.
In some ways, it takes longer.
Well, I think it is important for you to come to us with that because, given that minutes and hours can make a difference when it comes to terrorist attacks and preventing them and taking action, I think this is really important for all of us to understand given the world that we are living in. I wanted to ask you a final question about the JCPOA or the Iran deal. And in there's a provision that said that the U.S. must cooperate with Tehran through training and workshops to strengthen Iran's ability to protect against sabotage of its nuclear program. Admiral Rogers, from a cyber perspective, has the U.S. helped Tehran strengthen its ability to protect against sabotage of its nuclear program?
Ma'am,
post this agreement?
I cannot speak for the U.S. government as a whole. I can tell you U.S. Cyber Command has not participated in any such effort.
Okay, thank you.
Yes, ma'am.